Hello and welcome to the PSian Files, live stories podcast inspired by the Philippine School Sultanate of Oman. If you're new to this channel, please don't forget to click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to get more updates on podcast episodes of this series. In our previous episode, we talked about the history of Philippine School Sultanate of Oman. Now, we're about to talk about life in the school, most especially my time. I don't know, but I may include interviews here with PS alums and former teachers in this podcast series, as well as the likes of the first generation to the current ones. This can help give insights on what life is like in a Filipino school overseas. However, we will talk first about the prelude to my life there. This is just the start of the beginning of PSSO life. Buckle up as we take you on the starting point. I was born on the 9th of December 1995 at Sultan Qaboos University Hospital, the affiliate hospital of the medical courses of Sultan Qaboos University. My parents had been working in this prestigious institution since 1992 until retirement. Whenever my parents were at work at the hospital, one of their colleagues, who also happened to live in the same university campus we lived in, which is the SQU campus, took care of me. This colleague was the Balisnomos from a clan. Their firstborn child, a daughter named Maribeth, was a student at Philippine School Sultanate of Oman, then known as Philippine Community School until 1995. She was a student there from kindergarten to 5th grade, I suppose. And the time that she studied there, it was based in Al Farahidi Street in Rui, then moved to Al Inshira Street in Madinat Qaboos in 1995 before settling at Al Manhel Street in Al Quer 33 2 years later, which is 1997. But I warn you that it was just the only very first stepping stone to PSSO Life's prologue. The true beginning would be on one eventful day of a month in the year 2000. Our prologue to PSSO Life takes place one night in March or April of 2000. You might have heard this in my Filippo Mani Diaries, which is another series of my podcast night series. In the first episode, I discussed about my nannies and mentioned PSSO briefly. Let's take a review or look back on one segment there with a few added details. Here we go. Returning to Oman from our winter 1999 vacation in the Philippines, sometime in January 2000, my family and I, along with my third nanny, Nora Deliera, began to settle down for the millennium. During late January or early February, Nora Deliera began vomiting from time to time. This is a symptom of pregnancy called morning sickness. Mom, a medical professional, took notice of this during one church service. Sometime during these events, Nora reported to my mother that she didn't get her menstrual period, and my parents suspected that she was pregnant. My dad, also a medical professional whom God called to rest on July 15, 2024, was at that time holding some sort of deputy position at the Accident and Emergency Department of Sultan Qaboos University Hospital, and he brought home some pregnancy tests after his duty, while my mom had doubts of an affair between him and her, which Nora and Dad denied. A test was conducted and Nora was confirmed positive. Here, both my parents asked on what happened, and Nora further relieved my mom's doubts by revealing the details. During our 1999 Christmas trip in Capiz, while my family and I celebrated Christmas and welcomed the New Year together, she did the same too, but on some night during Christmas time, she had contact with her boyfriend, whose surname is Naelgas, making out and sleeping with him, thus affirming that there was no affair between my dad and her. Now, despite her situation, desperate Nora expressed her wish to finish her 2-year contract with us, but my family convinced her to go home as soon as possible before her womb grew big because, in Middle Eastern nations, pregnancy out of wedlock is taboo, and single unmarried pregnant women are viewed as pariahs, or should I say outcasts, wherein they face jail and deportation. However, exceptions may apply if the single women are widowed or remarried, provided a marriage certificate with some other proof such as death certificate of the husband is presented. To end the contract and allow her clearance to leave, A marriage certificate had to be issued for her boyfriend and her, which was done in her hometown of the municipality of Sapian in the province of Capiz. For days, my mom phoned her sister, Aunt Esther, to request for it and give updates if it was ready. During these times, my dad helped her nurse her unborn child by providing some proper food and fresh milk for proper nourishment, treating her like she was one of us in the family. This was even evident during her start of service with us. And while she was still with us, one of my maternal cousins, physical therapy graduate Joem Henoves Paras, arrived in Oman for a job hunt to help provide for his siblings who were still studying that time, and he would stand in as a guardian or nanny while waiting for the interview for his job, as my parents had our relatives in Capiz post a hiring for nannies to replace Nora. Soon enough, the wedding certificate was issued and a copy was sent to Oman. With the document presented, a final exit interview was done, which cleared Nora to go. Although the marriage certificate helped prevent penalties, she still had to go because her situation is taboo, as I stated earlier. That is when they arranged for her to go home, booking the return ticket with SQU's then affiliate travel agency, Oman Travel Bureau in Rui, which at that time was located at Al Noor Street. Now we proceed to that very March or April 2009 that I mentioned earlier. One of the nights, either month, was Nora's flight home. Coincidentally, my dad's department colleague, fellow Bicol native and medical worker Ramon Saculo, was also traveling alongside Nora that night. However, he was flying home to Bicol, either in Camarines Sur or in Albay for a family vacation, while Nora was going back home to Rojas. And being a registered nurse would also help Nora with her condition on the trip aside from her luggage. Oh, and in addition to suitcase and hand carry, Nora also took 2 or 3 additional balikbayan boxes containing some of our family stuff and some toys of mine to be sent home to the Philippines as additional cargo, which were to be received by my Aunt Esther. We took her to the old terminal of Muscat's International Airport, then known as CB International Airport, wherein I bought a scale model 747 aircraft to add to my collection once they were checked in. After being issued their boarding passes, we bade Nora farewell as she and Ramon entered a door leading to the immigration hall. My parents and I exited the terminal, and upon driving from the airport complex back to our home in the SQU campus, that's when I began to cry when I realized Nora was missing, not understanding the reason why she must leave. Of course, I was just about 4 years old at the time and I was still too young to understand it. My parents promised a new and better nanny to come, and they again contacted my Aunt Esther in the Philippines to give an update on the hiring of a new nanny. One was found and she was just readying herself. Days followed. I did not look for Nora each passing day, but I finally accepted that the old nanny was gone for good with a new one on the way. And here we are to the prelude of PSSO life. At some point while waiting for the new replacement nanny, my parents decided that I should start schooling, eventually settling for the school named Philippine School Sultanate of Oman. That time it was called as Philippine School Muscat. It was my parents' decision to send me here because it is the only Filipino school in the nation, and that other schools like international standards such as American International School, American British Academy or ABA, British School Muscat, and more have higher tuition fees and are quite expensive. Mom would tell me that PSSO was the school of Maribeth Inak Balisnomo, revealing to me more of that information later on. And little did I know that the teachers of Maribeth would be my teachers for my life in PSSO. One sunny day, we decided to visit the school like about during the noon or early afternoon hours. Reaching Almanhel Street in Site 33 of the district of Alquer, the vehicle entered a road labeled as Way 4727 in a subdivision and turned to another road wherein we stopped at Building 2400, located in Block 247 of that area. This was already the school that my mom talked about some nights before. And for your information, if you listen to episode 1 of this podcast, this building was PSSO's 5th site and its 2nd site in Alquer. The institution relocated back to the said district in 1997 and based itself there from 1999 onwards. With my mom going to the accounting office to enroll me, my dad and I waited at the entrance foyer, or maybe outdoors. I also explored the school on my own too, not straying far from where my dad was. In no time, I was asked to come to a classroom where a teacher awaited me. She was no other than the first preschool teacher of PSSO, Mrs. Rosario G. Ballesteros. I took an entrance exam for the school that same day, and it was announced sometime later that I passed and that I was due to begin schooling anytime, wherein my parents chose either next week or 2 or 3 days later after I took that exam. As part of my preparation for school, I remembered my parents buying my work texts for kindergarten at Sir Fidel Almodal's office. Sir Fidel Almodal, by the way, has been long serving as the school's building officer, office aide, and school supply store manager for the school. Adding to those were actually my school's official notebooks. The front cover showed the school's logo from 1995 onwards, consisting of a book in the center, topped with a flaming torch and surrounded by what appeared to be palm leaves. Below the book was the Omani national symbol, the Kanjar, and on one side of that was the number 19, and on the other side was 89, symbolizing the year the school was conceived. School supplies were also bought, such as pencils and crayons. Those were from another store, by the way. However, I wouldn't be having any crayons yet until my new nanny's arrival. My new uniforms were bought or soon, and preparations were made for my first life of formal education. I clearly remember that the uniform for preschool that time were some inner white shirt, white button up short sleeve polo shirt, and navy blue long trousers or slacks with white socks and black leather shoes. Also optional were those short trousers or slacks of the same color, but my family chose the long one. Those short trousers would be discontinued sometime in 2008. We did not have any school patches soon back then. Those were actually embroidered school logos, and although I think that they were introduced back in the 1990s, we only started wearing them in 2001. Some days later, I began PSSO life as a kindergartner for school year 2000 to 2001. However, it would not be the campus that I visited, which was in Almanhel, but rather the kindergarten was housed at a villa at Way 4144 of Alcolea Street. This was the school's first annex campus, which opened in the third quarter of 1999 to 2000 due to the increase in the number of students during the late 1990s. I would be discussing this in our next episode. Would you like to tell us about how you got to know Philippine School Oman? What was it like taking an entrance exam there? And how was your first life there from then on? Tell us more.